Oh yeah, this is the Typhoon H by Unique. Another turnkey solution for your aerial photography and video needs. It comes with this awesome ST16 controller, and this thing's a hexcopter, so it has 6 blades. And I'm going to break it down for you. I want to find out if this is worth upgrading to. BH Photo was kind enough to let me borrow this unit to review, and I might buy it. I'm tempted. You know, there's a couple out there that I'm looking at. The Mavic is also looks pretty good from DJI, the Phantom 4, but none of them seem to have all the features that I want, like this. So I'm going to check this out. Come with me along the ride if you're thinking of upgrading from the Q500 and you're looking at different drones, you're not really sure what to get. I'm going to break it down, show you all the features that matter. All right, so for starters, this comes with a killer backpack. Check this thing out. So you could just wear this backpack in the field. Everything fits in there nicely. It has a big pocket in the top, so you can put more stuff in there, like camera equipment, iPads, things like that. It actually has the chest lock in there, which makes it even more stable if you have to hike with the unit. Excellent quality bag, too, I would have to say, so far. You open up the backpack, it's got this foam insert inside the backpack, which holds everything perfect. You take it out of the backpack, and this is what the drone looks like. The arms collapse down, making it, very small considering it has 6 arms and 6 blades. The 6 blades make it great because if one fails, you can still land the unit. The landing gear is retractable, so it goes up, and which gives you the ability to rotate the camera 360 degrees, and that's just an unbelievably powerful feature. Now here, when you take it out of the box, you're going to need to charge it up. So you get the remote here, you got a charging station, you plug it in, you can charge the battery, and you can also charge the ST16 at the same time with the USB cable. And note the red light will blink when the battery is charging. And then when you boot the unit up for the first time, you turn the remote on first, the controller, then you turn the drone on, and it takes about a minute or so to boot up. Once it boots up, you will see the live camera and all the telemetry data and so forth. All right, guys, so here I am inside, and I have the Typhoon H turned on with the remote here. You could see the camera's looking at me, and I just wanted to go over a couple of features really quick. In particular, we got a bunch of features over here for the camera. So right now it's set to A mode here, which is, it just controls which way the angle goes on the side here. You have a lever to aim the camera up and down. And when it's in A mode, basically wherever you have the lever on the side is where the camera will be. If you put it in V mode, if you have it up, it'll just go all the way up. If you get past the middle and go down, it'll actually just go down very slowly, and you could let go of it. You don't need to hold it, you see? So that's the difference. In V mode, it'll go on its own at a given speed, depending on where you have the slider. A mode, it just directly controls it one way or another, okay? So I'm just gonna put it back up to A, and I'll aim it back up. That'll bring the camera back up, like so. All right, so a couple of other things here. You got the pan control. Now this is what turns the camera, but it's not going to turn the camera right now. You have to put it in global mode. If you put it in global mode, you'll notice the camera now turns. See how it's rotating? And this works the same way as the other thing. It basically rotates the speed at which you have it set to. So if you slow it down, it'll rotate really slow. If you speed it up, it'll rotate faster, like so. And then if you put it back to the center, it'll stop. Now if you want it to go back to the center mode where it was, the easiest way is to just flick it back to the top, and that'll put it in the center like so. Now the reason why I'm pointing this setting in particular out when you switch it to global mode is because when you're using some of the more advanced features, you're going to want to switch the camera pan mode to global, and then you can actually use this joystick over here to control the camera while the drone itself is flying autonomously. All right, now what I mean by that is some of these task modes over here. See this task button? If you click the task button, you have all these different modes. Now these modes are basically automated modes for the drone. So it'll fly on its own, with all of these modes, just in different ways. So orbit, if you click it, it'll show you what it does. Basically, it'll orbit you at approximately 25 feet, or depending on where you have the drone when you start this process. So here's a quick sample of the Orbit Me. However, I was a little bit too close to myself. I should have pushed it a little further out, and then the speed would have been much slower. As it is here, it's a little bit jittery, and I think that's because I was too close and the drone was going too fast. Point of interest. Now, point of interest, basically you fly to the center of something and you click that's the center, and then you move back out to where you want, and it will follow it around the point of interest, and it'll maintain that distance. All right, so here's the point of interest feature, and I selected the point when I was right over it, and then I backed away a little bit, about 15 feet or so, adjusted the camera, and then once I got it all ready to go, I just hit right on the toggle for direction, and it started to do the Orbit Me mode. I just had to pick whether I wanted the drone to go, clockwise or counterclockwise, basically. So you just have to go left or right on the directional joystick. And as you can see, this looks really good. It's a little bit slower than the Orbit Me, but even again, if I was just a little further away, it would slow it down as to the rotation speed, and I think it would look even better. Now, Journey is basically just a selfie shot type thing where the drone will start close to you and it'll fly up and away and maintain the camera on you during the process. It's great for like the selfie style shots. And you want to adjust the camera in advance, and you want to make sure there's no trees in the way. When using any of these modes, you want to make sure there's no trees or anything in the way. All right, so here's the Journey Me flight, and I did not put the landing gear up. So the quadcopter actually turned around because it was using the sonar to make sure that there was nothing in the way. And I did not have obstacle avoidance on the remote, so it did this by default, which is just showing how intelligent the drone is. And then cable cam, curved cable cam. This is the most advanced one, I would say. And this one, basically, you just set waypoints. We'll just click skip for now. So you can see here, you have all these instructions, and you have plus and minuses, lists. At the end of the day, this is very simple. There's no reason to overcomplicate it. Basically, you fly the drone where you want to start, and then you hit plus, and that creates a waypoint. You then fly to the next spot, hit plus again. That'll create another waypoint. And then you finish your waypoints, however many you make. You can change your altitude and your camera position at each waypoint, and it will remember that, and it'll switch to that when when you actually play. All right. So once you load it up, you can actually hit start here. A little dialog pops up, and then you swipe over, and it'll actually begin the process of going through your waypoints, okay? Now, like I said, the camera position will be saved at every waypoint, so it will show you what you saved. But I wanted to show you this here. If you go to global mode, while it's in flight, basically autonomously flying around the waypoint, like web, let's say, that you guys set up, you can control the camera completely independently with this thing. All right, it's not working now, obviously, because I'm not flying and stuff, and I'm in this task right now. It's not set up. But when you're actually flying, if you switch it to global mode, you can control the drone will go on its own. You don't have to worry about it at all. It's going to stick to the flight path, so you have nothing to worry about there. And then the joystick over here will control the camera left and right and up and down. So you can fully control the camera easily while watching the screen, and the drone is flying independently. This is an extremely powerful feature, and one of the biggest selling points of this drone, in my opinion, as far as versatility-wise and power goes. So I just wanted to go over that really quick with you guys. So I'm just going to cancel out of that, hit the back button here. One other thing I wanted to show you was just the camera settings here. Right now, you just can pick your white balance and stuff, and you can actually lock it once you get the white balance you want. But in here, if you hit that auto button right there, you can actually change your exposure compensation. See the EV0 there? You can change that exposure comp, which is quite nice. And also, if you hit this auto button, it'll switch the camera into manual mode. Now, this is really awesome. Now you can control the shutter speed and the ISO directly. So you can control the exposure of the camera, which is very, very important for certain scenarios and cinematography, effects. Especially consistency. If you don't want your exposure to change while the drone is flying and turning, it's very important to set it up in manual mode, okay? So that's where that feature is. And calibration and stuff is over here. I already did all this. It's very simple. You just got to go through the procedure, and you can change your home altitude as well. That's an option you can change in there, all right? And those are pretty much the main features of this. I mean, you have battery life of the remote right here, and then you have battery life of the drone right there. That's another key feature. And basically, if you want to, in mode 2, which is what the unit is set to default, the controller mode, basically this one here is going to launch you up and down, and it's going to rotate the drone left and right. So it'll cause it to spin left and right, and go up and down. This one over here, by default, will make the drone move forward, back, left, right, like, like this. And then this one will bring it up, down, and turn it, okay? So that's pretty much it with the controller. And of course, you have the on-off switch here. You got the video record button here. You got the camera button here. These controllers don't do anything. And on the top of the controller, you have the landing gear right here. You want to put that up when in flight, especially if you're going to spin the camera around. So here's a quick sample video of just what it looks like when the landing gear goes up, and you can see how far it goes, giving the camera, a lot of clearance. You got your rabbit dial here. Okay, that's your speed control. So you can change the speed of the unit. And then also on this side is the camera angle, which I showed you a minute ago. I was talking about it. This is the camera angle. You can change that with this guy here. And then of course on top you have your start button, which you have to hold for 3 seconds to start and stop the drone. All right. And if you click the settings button here, it'll bring you in and you can change all your different video settings. And notice there's a camera little icon there. If you want to change camera settings, you can switch there. See photo format right now, I have it set to DNG, but it's grayed out because I'm in video mode. So here's your video settings. You can go there and change all your frame rates. You got 120, you got 60, and so forth. So you got a lot of options and different resolutions there. And if you go to the camera mode, just wait a second while it switches. Sorry about the glare, guys. And if you go to settings, now I'm in camera mode. Now look, you can change your image format. See that? I have it set to RAW and DNG. And be very careful here not to hit that single, see that single button right there? If you hit that by accident, it'll change to team mode, and then the drone won't recognize some of the stuff, some of the features won't work because it thinks you're using other remotes and stuff. So it's easy to hit that by accident. I hit it before by accident and I couldn't figure out why the drone wasn't working. So I had to actually go in here and switch that back to single, and then that problem resolved itself. So all right, so the other switches here I wanted to talk about. This one here you don't have to worry about. It doesn't do anything at the moment. This one here is obstacle avoidance. Now, this is that ridiculous technology. In this case, it has the Intel RealSense technology, but there's also regular obstacle avoidance on this drone as well. So even if you don't have the Intel, it does still have some. So you can turn that on and off here with this toggle. Now, the RealSense basically maps a 3D world, and then it navigates through that 3D world that it mapped while flying. So because of all those calculations and an unbelievable amount of data, algorithm information type stuff going on, it slows the chopper down to 11 miles an hour, 12 miles an hour max when you have the intelligent, RealSense and it's following you. You know what I'm saying? So it slows it way down to make sure it doesn't hit anything. All right, so come with me, guys. Here's the RealSense in the real world, and it works incredibly well, I gotta say. Almost to a creepy level. It was almost like the drone was playing with me. You'd think it's just tracking the controller or whatever, but I think it was more than that. It was almost like intelligently deciding and creatively almost deciding what kind of composition to create. Just keep watching and you'll see what I mean. At this point, I just ran towards it, trying to confuse it. The unit itself, the drone turned around. The camera stayed on me, but the drone turned around and was mapping the environment behind it at this time while the camera stayed on me. And then once it, mapped the environment in back, it turned back around to look where it was going as far as the RealSense. So the RealSense technology basically worked independently of the camera the entire time I was doing this. So the drone was spinning 360 degrees, just analyzing the entire area while the camera stayed affixed on me. When I was watching this as I was running around here, I just couldn't believe it. I was blown away. I didn't realize it worked like that. And when I actually saw it in action, I was just like, whoa, it was just incredible. I was like, this is more advanced than I thought. So now this is where it goes to the next level. This is where the drone decided to, in my opinion, play peekaboo with me. I wanted to play peekaboo with it, but I didn't realize how good it would work. Now watch this. It's like, what? Look, do you see how it's like, come on now. This is another level. This is another level here. This is like AI, alien technology. No, just joking. But there's definitely something going on there besides just tracking the remote. I think this technology probably trickled down from military technology, and I think it's definitely tracking me and not just the remote. There's more going on there than just a GPS coordinate, like there's the remote. Like it's thinking, you know what I'm saying? But regardless, the RealSense worked exceptionally well, in my opinion, in this test. So, as advertised. Now here you have smart mode, angle mode, and then home mode. Okay, so in general, smart mode is great for when you're first learning, but also very, very useful for some applications where when you want the drone to just fly straight, and then you might want to turn it or something like that to get a better camera angle, but you want the drone to keep going in one solid direction. Smart mode is really good for that, certain things like that. But otherwise, I highly recommend using angle mode and getting used to that. Angle mode is a more advanced way, but it represents what the drone is actually doing from a perspective of the drone looking forward. So if the drone is facing you, left and right are going to be reversed in that case, okay? Now home, if you hit the home button, the drone will return home, and it works really well. It's great for when you don't know which way the drone is facing and you're trying to bring it back and you can't quite tell what's going on. You might have moved the camera gimbal and you might not have orientation as to which way the drone is actually facing because it's too far away. In those cases, hit that home button and the drone will start heading back, okay? And at that point, you could usually recalibrate, once you start seeing what's going on and it's on its way home, you can then recalibrate as to where you are and then usually switch it back to angle mode and take over. But it's a really good tool and I highly recommend using it. Bang for the buck wise, this particular package is incredible. Based on all these features I'm talking about, I mean the built-in screen, all the different modes it has, the power of the camera, the 360 gimbal, and all that type of stuff. The legs come up, carbon fiber, super lightweight, 25-minute flight time. It actually comes with that wizard wand as well. And this is another way to control the drone. You can actually fly it with just this. It's amazing that it does that. It's just another powerful feature, and it's much easier to carry this around if you're doing a follow me mode than it is the large remote, you know what I mean? So the downside is you can't see the screen or what the camera sees, but you can hook up a cell phone if you want to the camera via Wi-Fi, and you can watch it via cell phone if you're trying to do it with a lighter weight situation. I still prefer obviously using the remote control, but this is a great tool for certain scenarios. When you first turn it on, you definitely want to take off the camera shroud here. So you just grab it right here by this part and you pull it off. It comes off pretty easily. The camera will kind of hang there, kind of slack like, but that's normal. Next, you're going to want to put the battery in, and it goes in with the unique side up. Pretty obvious. Just push it in all the way and then lock that down. Then we're going to want to lift all the arms up, and notice how they click into place. All right? They click in. And when you go to release them, you actually would just want to lift up on them just that little bit when you press here and then release, okay? It'll come down easy. Because the way it is, right now it's clicked, but there's that little bit of tension. So when you try to press it and unclick it, it's just a little bit easier if you just pull up just that little bit on the arm, then hit the press, and then press it down, and it'll release like effortlessly. Otherwise, you'll end up forcing it, okay? So you just want to do that for all of them. And now we're ready to put our blades on. Oh yeah. So when you look at these, there's 3 black ones like this with the black tip, and it's like a push button here. And then there's also 3 with the white tip, like here. Alright, so you notice here how the white prop has the white ring in the center there, and also notice the lock, so it's telling you which way to turn it. And it's like a push lock design, so you only have to turn it like not even a quarter turn when you push it on this thing. So when pushing these on, I like to put my hand on the bottom of the motor like this. Then I like to grab the motor with 2 fingers, like squeezing it. So I'm grabbing the motors like this so it can't spin. Then I put the prop on, and then you look at the lock. You see which way you got to turn it. So I need to turn this one, it looks like clockwise to lock it. So I'm just going to turn it till it slips in, like so. Grab the motor, and it locked in. Did you see that? Alright, so then to unlock it, you just need to push on the button and hold the motor and spin it the other way. So I'm going to push the button, hold the motor, spin it, and it pops right off. So you can see there, it's locked in. Push the button, turn it, it's unlocked. It's that simple. like so. So we need to do that with all the blades, and the black version is opposite. Because the blades spin in the opposite direction, you're going to have to lock it and unlock it in the opposite way from the white ones. So I recommend putting all the white ones on first, then all the black ones, or vice versa. Up, and away we go. I was recording here in 4K at 30p quality, and I was using auto exposure and auto white balance. Now, now here's just a quick rotation. I'm actually rotating the drone itself, not just the camera, but the whole drone. And you can see the footage looks really good. Now this one, I was in smart mode, and I was using the Watch Me feature. Very easy to enable on the remote. You just got to tap it basically to switch it to Watch Me mode from Follow Me mode. And all I was doing was pushing like away from me and left on the trigger, on the remote, and it was rotating as it was going away. Created that cool spiral effect. Now here I'm just testing the camera angle, and that's that little slider on the back of the remote. You can just dial it to whatever angle you want, and it works pretty well. It's a little bit difficult to get a smooth pan, so that's why they added this velocity mode. So in velocity mode, you can just switch that little toggle like I showed you before on the remote, and then you can angle it and control the speed as to which the camera angles, and it'll just go on its own at like that constant rate, and it'll give you this perfectly smooth, angle as it goes. And you can also fly while it's angling down. Now here's just a flyover. I did a bunch of flyover footage at various times a day, and looking into the sun, going, with the sun on my left, sun on my right, sun behind me. I wanted you guys to be able to see, all the different angles. And, one thing to keep in mind is I was using auto white balance and auto exposure, and it's much better to just set the camera up manually in any scenario. If you're looking for professional quality, it's much easier to just let the camera do all the work for you in auto mode. So if you're just having fun, don't worry about it. But if you really want that, the best, most consistent quality because you plan on using it for production purposes, videos on YouTube, things like that, you really want to make sure you manually set the white balance and lock it, set the camera manually and lock that, and then your footage will be consistent throughout the filming, even if the lighting conditions change, which is very common. The clouds move and then the white balance will change, if it blocks the sun, for example. Here's just a 360 pan. I wanted to give you a good view of, just how well it works. You can control the speed of this. I have it going pretty slow, but it can go way slower, and it can also go way faster. So here's just a good, fairly slow 360. Here's another flyby. I actually sped this up twice as fast. So the drone was going pretty much full speed, but I sped it up even more because it's a long, it's a long distance. It's like a quarter mile worth of flying, or maybe not a quarter mile, but a good 1,500 feet, something like that is about how far I was flying, I would say, and maybe a little further. And, it just takes a while to get through the footage. But notice the 3D, the 3D element that you're getting here. The trees look really 3D. Very good quality footage overall. Is it cinematography grade? No. But the distortion is very low, so you could definitely use this footage for a lot of purposes, like, any kind of YouTube type stuff and things like that, but like Game of Thrones quality. No, of course it's not that. I mean, the camera is nowhere near that quality. But for what you get, I mean, this is exceptionally good considering the cost, in my opinion. The camera rig itself, isn't really that much. I think it's like $400 or $500. Here's a max speed climb. Check this out. So this is my house. I just accelerated up as fast as it would go, and I just wanted to show you guys what it looked like all the way up to 400 feet. And that looks pretty cool. Much better colors on this version than the previous Yuneec 500 for sure. Now here, you might be wondering if when you're flying, can you change the exposure? And yes, you can. I was recording video, and while I was recording, I was able to change the exposure. So a lot of times stuff gets locked down when you're recording, and you can't change anything. Well, you can do it on this. Oh, so here we go. I just wanted to show you a typical scenario. I was on my way home from work. I'm wearing my work clothes, and I took the drone out. I got the backpack here. Now, I could have just hiked somewhere or whatever, but I was pretty much just setting up right here. Had to wait for the car to go by. You always got to wave to people because a lot of people, they just do not like the drone. You'll notice this in public. They give you funny looks. A lot of people are interested. People like us that are interested in this stuff, they'll come over and they're the coolest people ever. They want to check it out. They want to see it. They're like, oh, but the people that don't like it. Oh, here's the landing gear going up. Here's some more footage. But yeah, people that don't like the drones, I mean, you really want to have that license. So you could just be like, listen, I'm a pilot. I got a license here. I'm just taking some footage. You have nothing to worry about. But if you don't have that, you're kind of just, oh, I met this guy. He was really nice. His name was Thomas. He was very interested in the drone. Thought it was really cool. And I was just showing him how you can, fly away and watch the footage on the screen. And it's just, super cool. But anyway, I highly recommend getting your studying for your drone license if you're going to fly these things for real, because there is a lot of information, valuable information they teach you in that course. I've been studying it. I'm at the Basherick Hill Wildlife Preserve here, and I just wanted to show you guys all the different types of footage you can get. I was angling the camera here while I was flying to try to get like a, kind of cool effect. I'm just flying over the water here. It just looks awesome. 4K. You can just see how smooth the footage is. Very buttery, especially when you're flying slow. Super smooth. Oh, so yesterday I went to my brother's house, and he lives right off this road here that we're following. And this is a good situation where I could actually fly the drone far. I wanted to go further, but, once the thing's out of sight, it just gets scary. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just afraid, like, God forbid, someone else is flying a drone or something. I didn't have a spotter all the way down here, so I didn't want to go any further. Like, right about here is when I lost sight of the drone, and I stopped. I just hovered for a minute, and it was kind of cool just watching the cloud cover. Then I decided to fly back, and I put the remote in global mode so I could change the angle of the camera. I turned the camera left and then flew back towards where I was standing, and I was able to get this side profile video. And this is my brother's house. We were doing some work on his shed. He's having problems with his wall here. Just had to use the machine to push against the wall so we could remount it to the wood. Oh, here's a point of interest shot. I used his house as the point of interest, and then I was doing a 360. All right, so as for photos, this Typhoon H takes way better photos than the Q500. Huge improvement on the camera end. The sensors got way more dynamic range. The image quality is much more accurate as far as the colors go. The blacks aren't like purple like they were on the Q500, I noticed. You got to be careful, though, that you make sure you have the camera set to photo mode and not in video mode when you take pictures. Otherwise, you will get a much lower resolution image, okay? Shoot raw. All right, guys, so at the end of the day, is the Typhoon H worth it? This particular model went for like $1,200 because it has the RealSense technology built in. And I gotta say, the drone and remote are phenomenal. Leaps and bounds better than the Q500 setup, although that was really good too, I gotta say, but the camera is so much better, has no distortion, so the footage looks way better, as you just saw in the footage. I mean, it's just not even comparable. The 6-blade design, way better for fail-safe purposes. It just has a number of advantages. I have a list here I'm gonna go over real quick. We got powerful features to cost ratio, okay? So for the $1,200, you're getting an unbelievable bargain, especially compared to the competition, in my opinion. The RealSense technology works, it's almost scary how it works. 360-degree camera rotation, that is just unbelievable power. You can work in team mode, have somebody else control the camera while you fly the drone using the wizard wand. I mean, the powerfulness of this is just amazing. I mean, using 2 people to get even better footage, that's just phenomenal and really pro-oriented, feature in my mind. Let's see, 4K at 30p. It does 1080 at 120p, which is excellent for slow motion. So if you're flying over, waterfalls or like dirt bikers going off jumps and stuff, you can actually get slow-mo footage when you're shooting at 120. It also does 60p. Has a lot of more camera controls over the Q500. You can manually control the shutter speed and the ISO and the white balance. So basically you can get a manual exposure with this. You can't change the aperture, but the other things you can, which effectively still gives you manual control for, for the most part. And that's excellent. The footage is much more consistent when shooting that way. And let's see. I already talked about the 6 blades. If one fails, you could still land the machine. Very easy to put the blades on. It's only 1/8 of a turn click now instead of like screwing them on, on the 500. The battery is way easier to get in and out than the Q500, although the Q500 wasn't that hard, but this is just better. It just slots loads, more confident. You can push it in. It doesn't feel like you have to get it just right before pushing it in. You could just like slam this one in on the Typhoon H. The retractable arms, the fact that they go down is a great feature. It makes it much smaller and easy to fit in the backpack, which is very nice. The landing gear raises up, which gives you 360-degree, unobstructed view. Amazingly powerful feature. It actually looks really cool too when it's flying, but practicality-wise. 1 mile range this unit has in optimal conditions versus the 1,500 feet approximately with the Q500. So I've flew this thing out about possibly 2,500 feet, I think is like the furthest I got. I was a little bit nervous. I just didn't want to go any further because I couldn't see the drone anymore. And, it's just not safe if you can't see the drone. So I just stopped and, that's as far as I would go. If I had a spotter ahead or something like, helping me, I could have continued flying it, of course, but it was by myself. So that's amazing. I mean, that's more than enough distance for my purposes. I don't need to go any further than like 2,000-3,000 feet. That's pretty much the max. But 1,500 feet wasn't enough. It was just too short, I found, But again, with this lens being different on the CG03 Plus, you're actually, the field of view is narrower, so you don't need to be as close to things. Makes a big difference. This guy has so many smart features that are so powerful, especially over the Q500, the original. So that's really worth noting. The Q500 did have the follow me and stuff like that, but it didn't have all the other features that this one does, as you saw in the review here. Okay, so some of the negatives. There's no smart battery on this, so there's no auto discharge feature. That's a pretty big deal. The LiPo batteries you can't leave fully charged, and you don't want to leave them fully empty either. If you're going to store them, you want them about 50% and things like that. And if you fully charge them and then carry the drone around like in your car and you don't use it for a few weeks, you can actually do damage to the batteries. Like they won't last as long. You'll lose flight time. Like you'll lose minutes off the flight time if you leave these fully charged and you don't discharge them. So some of the other manufacturers like DJI and things like that, they have smart batteries that you can set to auto discharge. That's a really powerful feature that this does not have. So it's kind of a negative, but all the other features totally outweigh that one negative in my mind. I mean, I'll just run the drone for a couple minutes and drain the battery. It's not that big of a deal, but it would be nice if they had smart batteries. The camera, okay, dynamic range could be a little better. The highlights blow out, the shadow detail could be a little bit better. It's kind of nitpicky, but it's such a small sensor inside this little camera because it's, it's super lightweight that, it'd be nice if that was better. I know it's asking a lot. It's going to be, heavier, things like that. But the new Typhoon Plus that just came out has a bigger camera on it with a 1-inch sensor. So that's going to be way better quality footage and compared to this. So I'm curious how good that footage is going to look. But overall, it's it could be a little bit better in that regard, I would say. When you're landing this guy, you really want to feather the throttle when you're placing it down. Because if you just hold it full down, it kind of bounces when it hits a little bit harder than seems like it should, okay? So I kind of feather it when I'm landing it. Other than that, though, this thing was phenomenal. I really, really enjoyed using it, and I can't see anything out there that is going to be much better for the money. We'll find out, I think I might review the Mavic, but it doesn't have a 360-degree camera. So just because it doesn't have that feature alone, it's like, is it really even worth reviewing? But the Typhoon Plus, however, with the much bigger camera, 1-inch sensor, now that's definitely worth reviewing to compare, the differences. As far as this review is concerned, that's pretty much it, guys. So I really hope you got what you were looking for. Please feel free, ask questions. Let me know what you think. If you're upgrading your drone, what are you going to get? Do you think this is the best possible solution for the money? I kind of do right now currently, especially compared to the Q500. People will complain about this remote being too big, but I don't have a problem with it at all. I mean, once you get used to using it, the big screen is awesome. I enjoy it. I don't think it's a detriment in any way. The battery life lasts, I only had to charge it once out of all the footage I took. So I don't know. I'm just really, really happy with the whole package as a whole. So that's pretty much it. Again, please let me know what you think below in the comments. Be sure to subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up if you think it was good and you got the information you were looking for. And I'll catch up with you guys next time. I'm not sure if I'm going to review Sony stuff next or another drone, but we'll see. All right. So take care. Have a great day. Catch up with you next time.